The space race of the 1960s is a thing of the past, but a new one is about to begin. Join me as we learn how to play Space of Gold. Mr. Becker here from Making Masters, and today I'm going to teach you how to play the game Space of Gold. Another epic battle between blue and red, so you need some markers. And you need a Space of Gold game board, which I have a nice colored version here. If you are using these normal Crayola markers, then you might not want to make colored copies for all of your kids, and you might want to use black and white ones, which it works out just fine, or use the colored version, laminate it, and then use dry erase markers. But because of the laminate, it would make it all shiny and you couldn't see a thing. I am using my Crayola markers on my non-laminate game board. So you need that, you need your markers, you need some just scratch paper to keep score, and you need some of the Space of Gold cards. Now, the Space of Gold cards, these are going to be your spacecrafts, and we have lots of them. We have an obtuse outlander, we have a parallel puncher, and we have lots of other ones that are just ironically named after geometric figures based off of the shape of the spacecraft. There is one card in here that is not a spacecraft, but I will talk about that later. You also need a set of these for each player, and you are going to need your stack of black hole cards, and I will talk about that in just a second as well. So let's just get started, and I think that's the easiest way to play the game. So the premise of the game is that there is another space race. It's between you and another country. Your government wants you to explore as many of these distant planets as possible. This is well into the future. Well into the future. While the other country and their government is trying to get your opponent to discover as many planets as possible. Both of these governments have promised to just award great riches and gold bars to those people who explore these planets. And that's what the numbers on each of these planets mean, is that if you explore this planet, the government is going to give you 118 gold bars. If you explore this one, 210. My goodness, if you explore this one, 351. And way up here in the far distant reaches of space, 1,250 gold bars. Hence the name of the game, Space of Gold. A lot of gold out there for lots and lots of people. So, you are not working by yourself, though, for the majority of this, is that you have to work with other people to get there. These white lines represent the paths that you can take to get to these different planets. Now, to begin the game with, we have 4 different pathways that you can start at. And each of these pathways is going to be broken up into different sections. The number of sections means the number of days it takes for you to get to that planet. So to get to this planet, it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different days. To this one, 1, 2, 3 days, and so on. So the number of days it takes for you to get to the planet is this number on your spacecraft. So for example, this ship, the Acute Anomaly, that can travel a distance of up to 4 days. Well, could it do 3 days? Of course it could do 3 days. 2 days? Of course. But the most it can do is 4. Every ship then that has this number is also the number of people it takes to man that ship. So it's going to take 4 people to operate the Acute Anomaly. Even if you only use the Acute Anomaly to go 1 day, it's still going to take 4 people to use that ship. And that's really important because the number of gold bars for each planet is going to have to be split up equally among all of your people on your ship. So if you have 242 and 1, 2, 3, 4, well, you're going to have to split up the 242 4 equal ways, as equal as possible. Okay, so 242, you have to split that up 4 equal ways. And that's what you're going to keep total of. So And the winner of this is going to be the winner of the game. So whoever has the most gold bars at the end of the game is going to be the winner. And that's how we keep track of it on these sheets of paper. Now, for example, 242 split up 4 equal ways is going to, each person is going to get 60, right? So 60 and 60 and 60 and 60, 60, 120, 180, 240. And then we're going to have these 2 gold bars left over. Well, what are we going to do with these 2 gold bars? The government says, well, you can't split those up equally. I'm just going to take those back. I'm going to take those back. So you are going to just write, if you did this, you would have gotten 60 gold bars, and that's how you're going to keep track. You got 60 gold bars if you went from this planet to this planet on the acute anomaly. All right, I think that's all you need to get started, and let's play the game Space of Gold. All right, to begin with then, I'll have red over here, and I'm going to have blue over here. Each of them are going to have their paper in which they're going to keep track of. And you can figure out however it is that you want to go first. There is no stipulation in this game. You could roll a die. I just so happen to have a die right here. Blue's going to roll first, a 1. That's not looking good for blue. Up, red, again, 4 and 1. All right, blue is going to go first. So blue is taking his stack of spacecrafts. And there's one card in there, as I mentioned, that is not a spacecraft. That card is called the Saboteur, okay? I'll talk about that in just a second. So, each player is going to shuffle their cards, and lay it face down over there. And red's going to shuffle his cards and lay them face down over there. And then red is going to be able to, and blue, 3 cards are going to be flipped over. You can see all this. And blue is going to flip over 3 cards. So blue gets the parallelogram passer, the trapezoid traveler. I'm just going to move this over here so you can see it. And he also gets the Saboteur. Now, the Saboteur says this: when you play this card, your opponent must discard all of his or her cards. He or she then draws 3 new cards. These are the cards. So if I would play on my first turn the Saboteur, I could play this card, and then red would have to discard all of these and then put them into the discard pile, draw 3 new ones. I'm not going to do that right away, so I can either use the parallelogram passer or the trapezoid traveler to get to any of these planets. Now, the pathway that you start on, you have to keep on that pathway. You can't go here and then next turn go here and then next. You can only do that if you got like cut off or something, and chances of you winning if you do that already probably not so good. But once you start, you have to continue. But let's say that I went up here and then up here. Can I go from this planet back? Absolutely. You've already established contact on that planet, so you can go from there. So once you start your path, you can break off into whatever paths you want as long as they are touching. So blue is going to say, all right, I want my parallelogram passer, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can use my parallelogram passer to get to this planet of 312. There's 312 gold bars just sitting there. If I can get to that planet, I know I have a ship that can take me there. I know that it's going to take me 5 days. 5 crew members, remember, got to split those up equally. And now here's what we're going to do. The goal is for your kids to do this in their head, to think about this visually and mentally. But to start the game, could they use paper to try to figure this out? How many gold bars do you get? That's up to you to decide. I strongly recommend not using a calculator to figure it out, or why are we playing this game? So 312 divided by 5, I'm just going to try to do this in my head. I know that if each person got 60, that would be 300. And then each person could get 2 more, so 62. So my guess is that I am going to get 62 gold bars. All right, so I am blue, and I'm going to guess 62 gold bars. Now, I said don't have a calculator for those of you who are trying to figure out the math, but the other person could take out a calculator and say, oh, let me see here, 312 divided by, oh, how many people was it? Oh, 5, and it's going to be 62.4, which is correct. right? Remember that each person would get 62 gold bars, and then there would be that leftover amount that the government says, all right, you can't split that equally. I'm going to just take that back from you. So blue has correctly done this, 62. So blue is going to shade in the pathway, and now he's at that planet. Now red can no longer go to this planet from this route. All right. And remember, you would only get to that planet if you got the math correctly, if you figured out how many gold bars there was. All right, so I used my parallelogram passer. That's going to become part of my discard pile. And now I'm going to take one from my draw pile. You can barely see this. And now I have the acute anomaly. All right, red's turn. He has a rhombus rover, a saboteur. Ooh, and out right away is this Scalene Speedster. This is a very special ship because the Scalene Speedster, it can operate with one person on it or it can operate with all 9. You decide. If you want to have 7 people on this ship, it can travel 7 days. If you want 9 people on this ship, then it can travel 9 days. So I might have to use that right away. All right. I see I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get that amount, or I could get 186. I could do 3 to get that. I'm going to go to this planet right here. So I'm going to use my Scalene Speedster. I'm going to put 3 people, including myself, onto this ship. So I have to take 186 and divide that by 3. And I think, okay, if there was 180 divided by 3, that would be 60 each. And then 6 left for 3 people would be 2, so 62. So I am going to go that way. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Well, I should have checked with the calculator, or the other person should have checked with the calculator. 186 divided by 3 is indeed 62. 62, so red is at 62 as well. It just so happens, this does not happen all the time, that red is at 62 and blue is at 62, but he did have to use his Scalene Speedster. He will be able to use that again. It just has to go into the discard pile right now. He gets to flip over another one, and he has the Isosceles Instigator, which can only travel 1 day. Oh, but he sees, maybe blue won't use the Saboteur card. But blue says, you know what? He really wants that 1. Blue is going to say, you know what? On my turn, I'm going to use the Saboteur card. So he plays that. Red, he loses all these cards, go into the discard pile, and now red has to draw 3 new cards. Well, blue draws the 1 for the Saboteur that he played, and it kind of worked out well for red, even though he's going to lose some gold bars because he's going to have to split up the gold between 2 people. Blue was really hoping for maybe like an 8, a 9, and a 6, but there was a 2 that came out. So red says, all right, I can use my parallel puncher, and I'm going to go to this planet. 76 can be split up equally between 2 people, so I am going to take 38 gold bars. And blue says, oh, let me check. 36 divided by 2. Now, if you didn't want them to use the calculator, that's fine, and they would have to do it in their head or on paper. I'm just going to use the calculator to make this so that it doesn't take that long, and to show you that I am indeed correct with 38. So red gets another 38. So he is at 100 points. 100 gold bars so far, and the game just started. Parallel puncher. And he flips over a new one, and the right runaway, and he has those 3 left. Blue's turn. Blue says, all right, I gotta go 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, I have 4, so I'm going to use my acute anomaly to try to get to that. Well, 4 times 70 would give me 280. I would have 5 left for 4 people. Well, each one is only going to get 1, so that's going to be 71. So 285 divided by 4 is indeed going to be 71, and there's going to be that 1 gold bar left, but you don't have to worry about that. That goes to the government. So blue says, yep, 71, 133. So right now, 133 to 100, but it is red's turn. So blue is shading in his path all the way to this planet. Used it, goes in the discard pile, and a new one comes up. Ooh, it's blue's Scaling Speedster. Red's turn. Oh, forgot to fill this in. Red now has an option to go to this planet or to go to this planet. While he's looking at a 4 or a 2, he could use his right runaway to go to this planet, or he could use his obtuse outlander or perpendicular pathfinder to go to 242. He's going to go to this one right here. So he's going to say, all right, I'm using my obtuse outlander to get to this planet. It's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 people. It's going to take 4 days. But my ship has to be 6, so I have to split up this 6 equal ways, which would be 40 with 2 left over. And blue says, okay, you don't even have to check that one on the calculator. I believe you that it's going to be 40. So red gets 40 more gold bars, and he gets to this planet. And he says, all right. Blue looks at the game board, and he's like, if red goes over here, he's going to try to block me. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Because now blue would have to start over, and maybe he would start over here to keep going. So red could block him, even though he might be blocked. He doesn't automatically lose the game or anything. He would just be able to restart, which could help blue, could not help red. So while blue's thinking about what to do. Well, blue, he's not going to use his trapezoid traveler or the rhombus rover to try to get there, because if he used the trapezoid traveler, that would only give him 20 gold bars. If he uses up his Scaling Speedster, a real good card to keep, but yeah, he's going to use it. So 2 people has to split up 162 ways, so that's going to be 80 gold bars. Wow, what a difference between 20 gold bars and 80 gold bars. But he did use it up, so he is going to go with 80. Red says, yeah, I don't need a calculator to check that. So red is at 140, and blue is at 213. Next, red. Red says, all right, I am going to use my right runaway, and I'm going to get to this planet of 83. And he says, all right, 83 split up 3 different ways is going to be 31. 31. And blue says, okay, let me check that out. 83. And hopefully he's actually thinking about this instead of just plugging it into the calculator. And he says, oh, wait a second. No, that would be 27 for those 3 people with some left over. You are wrong, red. You're wrong. So red does not fill this in. He discards the right runaway, and now red has to add to his deck one of these cards. It is a black hole card. Now, a black hole card says, after you get the wrong answer to a division problem, add this card to the top of your discard pile. So, red, the discard pile is up here. This is how many he's got left in the discard pile. It was tough to see there. And this is how much he has left in the draw pile. Okay? He has to add that to the top of the discard pile, which means once the discard pile, or once the draw pile is used up, the discard pile becomes the new draw pile, and he's going to see the black hole card. Oh, the joys of trying to save money based off of timers in your lights. All right, sorry about that. So, red got it wrong. He now draws this one. Blue's turn. He can go for a distance of 2. Oh, once again, don't forget this. He already went to that planet. So now he can either go, well, he can't go there. He has an 8, he has a 7. If if he couldn't have used any of his cards, or if he chose not to use any of his cards, you can, for your turn, discard all of your cards and get 3 new ones. But he says, you know what, I have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to use my rhombus rover to get to 201. My rhombus rover to get to 201. Oh, I got to think about this one for a second. Well, I couldn't be 30. And because 30 times 7 would be 210. So it's going to be in the 20s. So 20, if it was 14, 28. So blue says 28. I'm going to get 28. 201 gold bars, split up 7 different people on the rhombus rover, and it is 28 with, oh, you can't see that, 28 with some amount left over, which was right. So blue says, okay, that's not a lot of gold that I got on that one, but at least I got it right, and I didn't have to get one of those black hole cards. Now I'm not going to forget this time, and I'm going to shade in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it took me 6 days to get there, which really doesn't matter as long as you understand that you had to take a ship that could get you there. Blue flips one over. Red says, okay. Now red, although blue went to this planet, there's still gold available because there's another pathway to get to that planet, and the government likes that too. So your government, red's government, will pay 160 if you go from this planet to this planet. Now red might do that just to cut blue off so blue doesn't come this way and now all of a sudden start stealing the gold from red. So it would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He does have a 5 to get there. He could get 160 that way, or he could take 5 this way, which would be 80. So he'd be like, wait, I could get way more gold this way. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to say, okay, 160 gold. I got 5 people, including myself, on this spacecraft. It would be 30. 30 would be 150 with 10 left, so 32. So red says 32. I think there's 32 for me with none left over, and that is right. So red is writing down, he's keeping track of the amount of gold bars that he got, and he just got 32. So 172. So now red, you can't see that. So this was his draw pile, and now he doesn't have a draw pile anymore, so he has to take his discard pile, he has to shuffle that up, and all of a sudden that's going to be the new draw pile. So he's going to do that. Now don't pay attention to that black. I put a black there, and I shouldn't have because that gives away what card that is. But on the new version of this game, there is no black. So that was used, the parallelogram passer. Red has to fill it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's blue's turn. Blue says, all right, well, I'm going to take this 118 gold. 118 gold on one turn is very good. Blue says, oh, I'm just going to take my Isosceles Instigator. I'm the only one on the ship. I'm going here, and I'm collecting 118 pieces of gold. 118 pieces of gold, 9, 5, and 3. I have 359 compared to red's 172. Blue is off to a very good start in the game. Blue flips over one card. Red says, okay, I need to really catch up here. I need some good moves here. Maybe some strategy. I could go over here. 1, 2, 3. Are there any back ways that I could get to some of these planets? It's not necessarily looking like that. Maybe he's going to go up there. There's just not a ton of options for red right here. He's going to take this acute anomaly, and he says, all right, I'm just going to go. Maybe I got to get over here. I know it's not a lot of gold, but he's going to take, oh, he can't even do that because that would be 5. So he's going to take his trapezoid traveler, which is 8. It can go a total of 8 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. can easily make it. There's only 80 gold bars though, and you'd only fill that in if you couldn't tell me that that would be 10. So he wasn't a lot of gold on that, but he really wants to get over here. Maybe he can get different ways. Maybe he can get to that 93. But now he flips over a card. Oh, and here it is, the black hole. Remember, he got the black hole because red got one of the problems wrong. He thought that he got a different amount of gold than he actually did, and now he had to put one of those into his deck. Well, it doesn't do anything for him. It's a black hole card. What it does is it takes up one of the 3 spots, which means he can only choose the perpendicular pathfinder or the acute anomaly next turn, and he doesn't get that option of the 3rd ship. Remember though, red could use his turn and say, alright, I'm just going to discard all 3 of them and I'm going to take 3 new ones. But remember, he gets 0 gold bars if he does that. Blue's turn. And now he could go to this one from there. He could go from this one to there. He's got 2. Well, he's going to go 118. He's going to use his parallel puncher to get to this 249. So he says, okay, 2 people. That would be 100. It would almost be 125, but not quite. So he's saying 124. Blue is saying 124. 249 divided by 2 is 124 with some left over. Yep. So blue says 124. And he has a grand total of 483. Wow, this game is getting out of hand, and blue is continuing to show his dominance. That would go in the draw pile, or the discard pile. He picks 1 from the draw pile, and the game continues. Now, what does the game go up to? A good number, we feel like. Well, it all depends on how long do you want the game to last. Right now, I mean, just think about how long that's been going on. 483 pieces of gold. I've been doing the math pretty quickly, so maybe you're going to play first to 500. So that might be the normal game. Maybe you're going to make it a little longer. First person to 750 pieces of gold, or gold bars. Plus, I mean, red, he's probably to the point of saying, oh my goodness, I'm getting dominated here. How about we start a new game? But as you could see, and some of you might be like, oh my, there's no way my kids can do that. And yes, your kids can do that. To try to get these kids to visualize what that really means is going to help them so much more than just doing some sort of algorithm to do it. Honestly, that's where the power of why this game would be so powerful, is not to use that algorithm, okay? But maybe you start with it, and maybe you push them to say, okay, try to do this one in your head. Maybe you don't give the calculator to the other person, check it, and they're using paper and pencil. Maybe they're using the algorithm to check it, but try to get them to visualize this mentally. And yes, your kids can do it. My 4th graders have shown me over and over again that they can do it. And you're going to see the effects in the long run if you set that bar high and you have them visualize this and do this mentally in their brains. It's going to increase their number sense so much more than anything that an algorithm can give them. So, I hope you enjoyed learning how to play Space of Gold. If you have any questions, put them in the comment sections below. Like and subscribe to this video. And that's all I have for you. Mr. Becker here from Making Masters. Have a good one.